Monday, July 7th, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ordered the southwestern state of Arizona to provide with driver license to a group of undocumented immigrants brought to U.S. as children that fall under a special status created by President Obama 2 years ago. Arizona Governor Janice Brewer said she will appeal the decision. She also directly blamed the current influx of minors and families over the Texan border on President Obama's decision on June 15, 2012 to not deport minors who fell under certain qualifications and to grant them with a new special immigrant status known as DACA. Some of the qualifications are to be under 31 years of age as of June 15, 2012, to have come to the U.S. while under the age of 16, and do not pose a threat to national security or public safety. In addition, every applicant must complete and pass a biographic and biometric background check. The story of the lawsuit goes back to August 15, 2012, 2 months after President Obama signed the DACA memo. In Arizona, Reina Montoya and a group of activists had just applied for DACA and were ready to celebrate.
We were celebrating, we were so happy. We had a press conference in the morning at our office, and then just hours later, Governor Brewer decides to do an executive action saying that she was going to deny driver's licenses specifically for the deferred action applicants with from childhood arrivals or DACA recipients. So we were really mad.
We went to the Capitol and then we decided to protest against this. But a couple months after, the ACLU, along with other organizations, decided to file a lawsuit, calling it unconstitutional.
On May 2013, U.S. District Judge David Compels sided with Brewer against the plaintiff's argument of unconstitutionality. They then appealed, and the case eventually went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
It has no rationale. If you look at the executive order from Governor Brewer, like, it's very inconsistent, and it doesn't really have any reasons or any legitimate reasons for her. Why would she deny driver's license for someone who has work authorization to work here in the United States? It makes no sense. And actually the Ninth Circuit decision said that it was something out of hatred, out of malice. That was the only reason that they could think why Governor Brewer was acting the way that she was.
And so, 23 months after the lawsuit was filed, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled the governor's ban unconstitutional. Alessandra Soler, ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union's executive director, agrees with the court's decision.
Well, I mean, the governor definitely tried to, rationalize what, in our view, was blatant discrimination. She made the decision based on not legitimate public interest or a legitimate public policy interest, but on her, politicking. And her decision was basically to pick a fight with the federal government. And these kids, these hardworking immigrants, were caught in the middle.
Governor Brewer reacted to the loss in court by issuing a statement. The ruling is especially disturbing given the current influx of illegal aliens, a crisis President Obama created and escalated. I am analyzing options for appealing the misguided court's decision. She went on to say, if the Ninth Circuit ruling is allowed to stand, the president, as he has already threatened, can contrive a new program refusing to deport the latest arrivals, issue employment authorization cards, and Arizona will have to issue license to them as well. The governor took a step further and conjectured the DACA program decision to not enforce federal law has directly led to the massive influx of illegal crossings and the crisis we are witnessing today. Soler believes that the court saw through Brewer's conjectures and political games and ruled they were violating the rights of the DACA recipients.
And this was a huge, huge victory for these young immigrants. And it sends a really, really strong message to the governor that she cannot rationalize discrimination. And in this case, that's exactly what the court found. And she can't make decisions based off of spite and a hatred towards these young immigrants. She claims that this has nothing to do with the Dreamers. It's about Obama, ignoring the rule of law. Well, Brewer attacks everyone who disagrees with her as being lawless. And the court, the Ninth Circuit, saw through this, and the Ninth Circuit said, you're the one, in fact, that's being lawless. You're the one that's violating the Constitution, and you're the one that's violating the rights of these young immigrants.
The core argument of the lawsuit is that only the federal government can enforce immigration laws, and that by trying to interfere with that process, Arizona's governor was overstepping her lawful boundaries.
There is a language in the U.S. Constitution, it's called the Supremacy Clause, that says that the federal government is the entity that is expressly in charge of regulating immigration, and that states don't have any business and don't have any authority regulating immigration.
The Arizona governor's main argument is that the President Obama memo authorizing DACA is not equal to a federal law. This is a quote from her statement released after the laws in court. Arizona law is very clear. Notwithstanding any other law, the department shall not issue to or renew a driver license or non-operating identification license for a person who does not submit proof satisfactory to the department that all the applicants' presence in the United States is authorized under federal law. As a result, the Arizona Department of Transportation has a policy that DACA, as well as deferred action and deferred enforced departure individuals, do not demonstrate authorized presence under federal law. According to Soler, the judge's ruling not only dismissed Brewers' argument, but reinforced the plaintiff's argument that states have no business regulating immigration law.
They're attempting to regulate immigration, and they don't have the authority to do that. So the justice, one of the judges in this case, actually said, hey, you've got a really good argument moving forward that her policy, not only does it discriminate against the Dreamers, but it possibly violates this Supremacy Clause by improperly interfering with the federal government's ability to regulate immigration.
This is exactly the same argument used by the U.S. Supreme Court to rule out parts of the SB 1070. Governor Brewers' first attempt to rule and regulate immigration in 2012. But life is now about to change for these young Americans who only in Arizona and Nebraska had to endure for another 2 years the great inconvenience of living as sub-citizens, not being able to drive in a place with a deficient public transportation system, and temperatures up to 120 Fahrenheit in the summer. This is just one of the problems they face day to day.
Me specifically, I wanted to go into the criminal justice field. I'm studying criminal justice, and I wanted to go into law enforcement. And because I don't have a driver's license and I'm not a citizen, I can't go join and protect my community that I've always wanted to protect since I was little. And I can't go into the career that I want. I can't, if there's an emergency at the house and my younger siblings have an emergency, I wouldn't be able to drive them somewhere. I wouldn't be able to go to their games or their sports. It's like little things like that, like returning something at the store and you don't have a valid ID.
It was kind of like a big shock when I started to grow up and started to see like Arizona in the political aspect of things and how it was being treated and how my family and our society as Latinos was being treated, because like you said, growing up I had a lot of friends. I had white friends, black friends, Mexican friends, and everything was great until as a dreamer, when I started realizing all the obstacles of having to go to school and pay 300% tuition because of laws like Proposition 300, not being able to get scholarships, the anti-immigrant laws like SB 1070 here in Arizona, so anti-Latino. It's just scary, and it was like, really, this is my home, this is where I grew up, and it's really sad that now Arizona is turning its back on me.
When I travel to other states and stuff, they're always like, oh, you're from Arizona, and they have that kind of like, I'm sorry for you, kind of a feel.
I think there's a lot of momentum, and I've seen how the community has really gotten active, not only being educated and creating awareness amongst our communities and really helping each other, not only to grow, go to education, but protecting our families as a stopping deportations. My dad's deportation was stopped, and we here in the organization really try to really make it about our lives and really humanizing the issue that this is not about politics, but we do have Republicans who act out of hatred, but also we have Democrats who are not willing to take a stand for our communities and are not willing to protect them. So for us, it has never been about party, but about our communities.
The Real News will continue to report about this case and other immigration issues. For The Real News, this is Oscar Leon.